Hi everybody, happy Sunday. I hope you've had an amazing week. Today for this episode of Sunday School, I wanted to talk about this question. I thought it was a really good one. What is the difference between a fill and a rebalance? I hear them both all the time, but I don't know. Great question. A couple, maybe potentially, I wouldn't say quite controversial, but there's definitely a lot of different opinions regarding this topic. So let's break it down and get into it a little bit. So the terms fill and rebalance are both referring to a return service. So your client has received a service, some kind of structured gel manicure, an overlay, and even some kind of enhancement, where they're coming back to you a couple weeks later and they need that service treated, touched up, all that gel needs to be applied right back to the cuticle again. They want it to look fresh and brand new. Now, depending on who you ask, there may be some people in your life that say fill and rebalance mean the same thing. You can use them interchangeably. Fill is a little bit easier to say, a little more of an open colloquialism to say, something that's a little more commonly heard. Rebalance maybe sounds a little more expensive, maybe may sound a little more like an elevated service. So you can use kind of either or interchangeably, according to some people. Now, there is another school of thought that says that fills are a little bit more of a like a quicker return service, where if your client has come back after maybe only 2 weeks instead of 3 or 4 weeks, and they just need a little bit of extra product to kind of push back to the cuticle, and you're not doing a whole reduction, realignment, heavy cuticle work, all this stuff. So fill is a little bit of a quicker service, where rebalancing is you're actually taking down all the structure that is on their nails, most of that product, redoing the cuticles, redoing all of your shaping, and then reapplying an entire new apex, a new overlay to their manicure. So it's a little bit more of an in-depth service where maybe they've had about 3 or 4 weeks of growth and they need to completely rebalance the manicure. But honestly, I think over time, these words have kind of become interchangeable, like I said before, depending on who you ask, just because, modern day colloquialisms and going into maybe non-standard salons or more quick turnover salons where you're just asking for a fill, but they're actually doing a full rebalance. You just don't really quite realize it because you don't really know what to ask for, or it's not being communicated to your client. So they understand the word fill and rebalance might actually be a little bit confusing for them. So we simplify and we just say fill. Now, speaking personally here, because of the expectations of, modern day manicures with the elevated cuticle work, perfect structure, awesome, high-end finishes, I don't personally offer just quick little fills where we just kind of buff things and go right back over top. I prefer to do what would be referred to as a full rebalance every time, regardless of how long it's been, for a couple reasons. Now, one of those reasons is cuticle work. Because I like to do E-file cuticle work, when I am working with these bits and I am supposed to be getting a very proper angle to get into the cuticle, usually at about 30 degrees or so, if I'm trying to hit that 30-degree angle, but there's an excess of product on the nail, I'm going to be bumping into that product or trying to lift above that product to get into the cuticle area where I want to be. So I'm going to be over-directing and I'm going to end up creating rings of fire or e-filing where I do not want to be e-filing. So it's going to be affecting the quality of my cuticle work and my service. And secondly, I like to always address lifting. Now, if we are going along the school of thought that a fill is, a 2-week return service, even in that 2 weeks, if your client is hard on their nails or maybe the product wasn't a proper choice for them, or, various acts of God or whatever may have happened to the manicure, even in 2 weeks, you can experience lifting. And if that nail has grown out a little bit and I've gotten some lifting, and I've just gone straight over top, I didn't eliminate the lifting properly, and I didn't do a full rebalance where I take a product down and, assess the lifting, see if there's anything I need to eliminate and just go straight over top with new product. What can happen there is you can be trapping air bubbles, which can cause more lifting and nails popping off in the future. Or if moisture has gotten trapped underneath that lifting and then you're coating it again, you can trap that moisture and bacteria inside a dark, dank surface where bacteria and fungus and very many issues can form. And this is especially important if you are working with tinted builder bases, which is very, very popular these days. That's when you are building a manicure with a tinted, like a colored gel, so that you are actually concealing the nail plate. Now, if that's grown out and you don't take the time to reduce that product so that you can see through the color properly, you may be missing lifting, pockets, things like that, and not even know that you're applying product over top of these issues and potentially creating problems for yourself down the line. Now, all of this being said, I know that all different nail techs work very differently, and there may be some people that, they're working with clear products, doing a quick little fill is not going to be an issue for them. Maybe they're not needing to do cuticle work every time. No shade, I'm not trying to read anybody. I'm just trying to explain the difference between, what a fill and what a rebalance might be and why they might actually be interchangeable, depending on who you ask. So there you go, a little bit of insight into fills versus rebalances and what they might mean, why they might be different. As always, if you guys have any questions about this topic, we have our cute little question box right up here. Feel free to drop your questions in there and I'll do my best to get back to you by the end of the day. Other than that, I hope you have a super amazing Sunday. Thank you for tuning in and we will see you next week. Take care.